Hello, welcome to the Luxe Leap. My name is Raylan Logan, and we chat about women consultants making bold moves, big wins, and the secrets to extraordinary branding. If it's your first time, welcome. We're so happy to have you. And if it's your second, third, fourth, fifth, 922, we are so happy you are back with us. So, like you guys all know, I like to kick it off with a question. Have you ever wondered why some personal brands stand out more than others in the digital world? It's not just about being visible. It's about being strategically building a presence that resonates and engages. Meet Trish Lindo, your go-to personal branding architect and LinkedIn strategist. With an impressive background in media and tech, she has worked with powerhouse entities like LinkedIn, BuzzFeed / Tasty, Yahoo, CNN, and Oprah.com. Trish has mastered the art of digital influence. As the CEO and founder of Too Ambitious Consulting, she doesn't just strategize, she revolutionizes the way organizations and their members amplify their personal brands. Trish's expertise spans across the digital media landscape, teaching executives and creatorpreneurs how to craft impactful personal and professional identities on platforms like LinkedIn and Instagram. Trish is also fiercely dedicated to empowering women entrepreneurs and small business owners, just like your girl here. She helps them scale their businesses and build thriving communities through strategic personal branding. Beyond her consulting work, Trish is the executive producer and host of the Too Ambitious Live series, a platform that elevates the voices of Black women and women of color founders. Having contributed her skills as a writer, producer, community manager, moderator, and on-camera personality to forums like EY's Growth Strategic Forum and Laundry CEO Conference, Trish is a multifaceted force in the industry. Everyone, help me in welcoming Trish Lindo.
Hey. Thank you so much, Raylan. I appreciate that. I should have told you didn't have to read all that. I'm so sorry.
Oh, girl, I live for it. I live for it. I love big intros because we deserve big intros. Like, let's be honest.
That's right. We have to step into the spotlight,
Always.
as we should.
We are told to play small so often, that if I do nothing else in this entire episode, you deserve your flowers.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I love it. So why don't we just kick it? Let's just dive straight in. What inspired you to start your brand?
Well, like all brands, there is a story there. So, in 2003, 2023, where did I get 2003 from? By the end of 2023, I was working at LinkedIn. I'd been at LinkedIn for over 2.5 years and I was laid off. So part of tech, and I think we all know, the tech bubble burst. I was part of that. And so I was laid off. And I didn't really know what was next. Like most people who get laid off, you're just like, okay, well, what do I do now? I was still looking for full time, but this was like, around the holidays. So you're like, okay, I'll wait until the year starts. During this time, people were still reaching out to me on LinkedIn, asking me for help. And I'm like, hey, yeah, I don't work there anymore. So and they're like, oh, okay, well, can you still answer this question though? And I was like, okay, fine. Yeah, I guess, so then I was like, oh, well, maybe this could be a business,
Yes.
So that was basically how it started. And I will say, especially talking to somebody like you who is, a brand aficionado, I will say I had zero idea of where this brand was going. I just hit the ground running and just kept going.
I mean, that's what I tell people to do. So don't stop.
Yeah, it definitely, I've had some ups and downs for sure. And the biggest thing that people were saying when I was at LinkedIn is like, oh, you're building the plane while flying it, and I was doing a lot of that, at I would say the first 6 months, I was just sort of like figuring it out, pulling information from wherever I could, reading, podcasts, you name it, because I just didn't know how to set it up. And I think that other entrepreneurs, at least from my point of view, make it look so easy. right? They're just like, oh yeah, you do this, do that, and then boom, money, and you're just like, yeah, so that didn't quite happen for me. So
What they don't want to tell you is it's this simple if you just work.
right,
They
right.
like to dust that under a metaphorical rug, and it's like a mountain of dust underneath the carpet.
Yeah.
Gotta work it.
Exactly, exactly. So I had to work it. But I came up with too ambitious because in one of my reviews, in one of my corporate jobs that I had, I was told that I was too ambitious. That was in my review. And I remember sitting there thinking, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do with that. But yeah. So, I feel like a lot of women who have ideas and are confident are told they're too ambitious. So that's
This
how that came about.
this idea of and I'm sure there's so many women listening right now who are like, yeah, I've heard it. I've
Yeah.
heard that a time or two. Probably looked just like my face did while you were talking. For
Yeah.
those who are listening and not watching this on YouTube, um, my face just said about 100,000 million words.
Yeah.
And those words were summed up in "fu," dear people. So the idea and the concept, and I face this as a mom of a boy, that girls can't be ambitious, but boys can, and it's a good thing. And that we
Mhm.
need to still, it's 2025, y'all. We still need to sit in our place, be there, be quiet, be pretty. It makes me so mad. And then you get other feedback on the flip side that's like, no, be more intelligent, be more of these things. Like, y'all need to choose.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, we don't care if you choose because we're going to choose for ourselves. But this idea of labeling you as too ambitious, we could go into the threads of how that is just honestly underlyingly kind of racist.
Yeah.
But it's silly. And even beyond race, like, women hear that too often.
Too often.
Too often.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, we can't be, is our greatness making you uncomfortable? Good.
I think so. Yes. Unfortunately, yes, it does make a lot of people uncomfortable. I think that, when you hear something like that, it, at least for me, I was very stunned that someone could say that, because what am I supposed to exactly take from that information? How am I supposed to move forward? I think that sometimes it may force you to question who you are and what you stand for. And I think that any time that someone can, or at least has the power to do that, um, it's definitely not a good thing,
No.
and I'm glad that I wasn't, that I'm not like 21 years old, because it's harder when you're younger because that can stay with you a long time. But, I've got some years on me, so I can, sort of take it in and still, like you, go, WTF, but be like, oh, okay, all right, girl, that
It's
kind of thing.
it's just I was reading this book, and everybody makes fun of me because there's a stack of books by my feet at all times. I almost turned around to grab it. If you ever are coached by me, there's always a book that's going to get like pulled out and being like, here you go, this one. But there's this book called Playing Big. And I remember reading this one chapter. The first parts were hard for me because I was like, I don't think that way. Many of my women peers do think that way, so I understand why it's the start of the book.
Yeah.
But as I'm reading, one chapter was about feedback.
Mhm.
And it literally said, any feedback you receive is more about them than it is about you. And if you take offense to feedback, it's because you innately think that about yourself. And when I read that, I was like, oh, that's fair. That's valid.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's helped me get over a lot of like wild feedback that I receive. Like this time somebody told me my photos were too curated and I should write more intelligently.
What does that mean?
I took it as I am too pretty, and because I'm pretty, I'm not smart. And I was like, these things aren't mutually exclusive.
Yeah. The
And
disrespect.
also, that's what my face looks like. I didn't curate anything.
Yeah.
I'm just good at taking pictures.
Yeah.
So very, very in the same vein as you hearing you're too ambitious.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that, when as a Black woman, we are at the intersectionality. I think that unfortunately in this day and age, and especially in the US, you kind of have to be prepared in a lot of ways because people do want to take you down a few
So
pegs.
easily.
It's almost like a goal for some people, whether you are in the corporate space as an entrepreneur, or you are a mom, or at the grocery store. People like, I think there's some sort of sick joy that they take in sort of kind of letting you know, or trying to let you know, that either you don't belong, who you are is not enough. And I'm here to remind you that you are enough. You're more than enough. But that is an unfortunate reality when you're a Black woman and a woman of color.
Yeah, it truly is. And I mean, we could fill encyclopedias with these stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
Encyclopedias.
Yeah.
And not just one story from each person, but like 100 stories from each one of us.
Yeah.
And those books would
Unfortunately.
be able to take the circumference of the world.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
It's
so unfair, but true, you know?
it's heartbreaking. But hey, we're here to bring light to that. And this is how we make change, everybody. So change is a choice. Change is a choice.
Mhm.
And you either choose to do it or don't do it, because change is happening whether you like it or not. That's called time.
Yes. Amen to that. Is that the
So
truth?
you choose what side of change you want to be on. That's all I'm going to
That part. Exactly.
say. That part. So when you think back, you started
Mhm.
your business at, let's say 2024, because it was the holiday times when you were
Yeah.
laid off.
Yeah.
So gosh, like a year ago,
Yeah.
essentially, and some change.
Yeah.
What was a pivotal moment in this part of your brand journey that defined where you are right now?
I think there were a few different moments for me. So I started the show Too Ambitious to talk to Black women and women of color who are, disruptors and innovators, much like yourself, you
Mhm.
know. And once I started having those conversations, I was inspired by those conversations of these women, and what they were doing and what they thought was possible. Some of them, a lot like me, something pivotal happened in their lives and sort of force them into entrepreneurship, because we got to do what we got to do, right? So that inspired me because in the beginning, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And I was talking to these women. I'm like, yes, you can. You can do this, So that was a big realization for me at first. And then the other part of it was the fact that people were willing to pay me, for the knowledge that I have. And listen, I don't take for granted that I used to work at LinkedIn, and that obviously helps with the credibility of the
Mhm.
information that I'm sharing. And so the fact that people would pay me to do that, because the role that I had at LinkedIn was somewhat similar, and obviously I wasn't getting paid for that. That was just my
Mhm.
job. So I had to shift that mindset of either just giving people the information for free, or people are like, no, I'll pay you, for real, and then you're like, oh, okay,
I'll take it.
so yeah, so it was a big adjustment in that way. And I think the most difficult part was just structuring the business. Like,
Mhm.
I had so many conflicting information. Do you start an LLC? Do you not start an LLC? Do you start a website or not have a website? Looking back, I didn't need all of those things at the very beginning. I just did not know. Um, I'm blessed enough because working at LinkedIn, I met a lot of women founders. That's who I was working with at the
Mhm.
time. And a lot of them are, Series B, Series C, very high level, super successful. And a lot of them were giving me advice, and I was like, yeah, 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 that's really good. Then I'm like, I don't know if I need that right now, you know? And so I was taking in information, but I didn't know what I needed, what I didn't need, in the beginning. I needed somebody at the beginning of the process because these people were 100 steps
Mhm.
further, and they were saying, this is what you need. If you don't do that, then that's it. And I'm like, oh, okay. All right. So I was running around, like just going around and around for at least 6 months. It was fun. Not It wasn't.
Not fun at all. I have sat in so many rooms with women, actually. It's really funny. And they'll be like, I know, Ray, I don't have a website and I know you're going to say something about it. And I look at them and I go, I don't think you need one. And they look at me very funny. And I'm like, I also coach businesses and a lot of beginning businesses. And that is the last thing I'm going to tell you to do because you don't have proof. You have no proof that your concept is valid, none whatsoever. And proof comes from talking to people and proving to yourself that people will buy it. And a good website is going to reflect what your ideal audience wants and what you want and where those things meet in the middle.
Mm.
And you cannot do that if you do not sell something.
Yeah.
So it's always funny when people are like, I need a name. And that's one that came by recently.
Yeah.
I need a website. I need these things. And I'm like, no, you really don't. You want them. I call it productive procrastination because
Yeah.
you're afraid to sell something.
Productive procrastination. I love it. I love it.
I did it the other day.
Write that down.
Write that down. I literally was joking the other day. I was like, I'm going to coin this term
You should.
because, you know that magazine I sent you? That was me avoiding doing something.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was legitimately me avoiding doing something I needed to do that would move the needle. And I was like, wow. I mean, this is productive and it is beautiful, but like this was productive procrastination.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I was doing a lot of that. But I wasn't really sure, but I was doing a lot of that for sure.
Because you're told you have to. I mean, all the YouTube gurus will tell you you have to have all these things. And you're like, but why? And when do I do them? And where does the money come from to do those? And it always comes down to money. Where's the money to do this?
Everything. All roads lead to money. Subscriptions, paying for things, paying for somebody to do the things, all of it costs money. And in the beginning, you don't have a lot of it. Or if you do, you don't really have the runway to support all the things you want to do. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I think we don't talk about that enough.
We don't. We don't talk about the fact that we need more Raylands in our lives at the beginning.
Thank you.
I'm just saying, because you could have saved me a ton of money.
And a ton of time.
And a ton of time. Yeah.
Because I was
spinning. All I was doing was spinning,
No, I get it. I see it often. Oh man. One day I'll write a book about it.
Actually,
should. I have a title. We'll talk about this offline or on your show. And that means everybody, if you want to hear the title, you have to go to Trish's show whenever that day launches. Okay. We'll tell you about it. You'll hear about it. Follow both of us online and you will find it.
Yes. I love it.
So let's look to the future. The past has happened. 5 minutes from now will be tomorrow. So what are your long-term goals for expanding your brand's impact?
Yeah. When I think about that question, as a business owner, and I just got to the point where I'm comfortable thinking like a business owner. And when I think long term, right now I'm in the process of doing a slight pivot to sort of encompass more of the creator economy, which is something that has always been instrumental in my professional career. And I'm like, why am I not talking about that more? And so what I would love for this brand, Too Ambitious, is for it to grow to be a summit, a place where women can gather and we can talk about their ambition and they can be as ambitious as they want and they can connect with other ambitious women and be inspired by it. And so I thought about this like a few months ago, and then I was like, do we really need like another conference or another summit? Okay, yeah. And I figured, and I think, because every time I talk to women, they're like, oh, what are you going to do with this? Like, oh, we should like all meet up, And I'm like, why? I mean, aren't you guys like busy? And then I was like, no, there needs to be a place for that. So that is the long-term goal. I'm starting with like small, like network mixers, and then going to move it up where I'm actually going to have to like get a place and set like a date, like a year out, and have women show up and like, you know, figure it out, have panels. And I don't know, but I definitely want to do something a bit different. I'm not really sure yet, but that's where I see the brand going, is more so having a space for successful and ambitious women to come together in a very meaningful way. That's where my I'm looking to.
This 15,000 things just like started synapsing in my brain.
Yeah.
I'm the most perfect person to introduce you to make that dream a reality. I do.
Yes.
Phenomenal Black woman. Her name is Karen. Events are her jam. She's a good friend of mine. I'm also good at planning events, so I'll just help you.
Of course you are. Of course, because you're great at everything.
I'm not Karen level great, but I'm pretty damn good. And then, where was I going with this? I just got so excited. My brain just is short circuiting because there's so many things happening in it at one time. Here's a secret that I'm now bluntly saying on the podcast for the first time.
Okay.
All the ladies on the Luxe Sleep are all like a part of a just quiet secret membership of us doing the same thing, of meeting behind the scenes and spending time with each other because we crave it. Women entrepreneurs crave it. Like, I would go to yours. You are now inducted into mine. Kimfer, whose podcast came out on April 10th, like, she talks about her F-bomb club. Like, we can have multiples of them and be at all the places because they are places for women where we don't have to be made to feel small, my friend, because we feel that a lot in all these male conferences that we all have to go to. Woof. While we listen to them talk to us on stage, telling us mediocre advice that is not rooted in empathy in any capacity. Let me tell you how I really feel without telling you how I really feel. We need more spaces for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do
I
it.
agree. Okay, I agree. I mean, I think I was sort of overthinking it. I think also too, the other part of that is that when I'm on social media, I'm on all the things. I'm scrolling and I'm seeing all the things that are happening. And I'm like, I don't think we need another one, you know? But in actuality, we do. You're right. You know, there's so many. I mean, first of all, we're what, at 50.2% of the world's population now. So yeah, you know, needs to be more spaces for us to come together so that we can eventually take over the world.
There is no world if we don't birth them.
See, and know what? They don't think about that. You know, they don't think about that.
Even if you don't have kiddos, you know, you hold the capacity of caring for kiddos as women.
Yes. Yes.
And so even if they didn't physically come out of you, you hold the power to do so.
Yep.
And you're going to take care of them no matter what. That's in our DNA.
Yeah.
So, dear world, we are now the majority. And dear world, you don't have one without us.
No.
Full stop.
It's so true. It's so true. You know, we don't talk about that enough. We really don't. But it's true.
It's so true. It
Yeah.
is so true. And we need to talk about it. We need to talk about it more because then women's health wouldn't be on the line all the time.
Oh my God. We could do like a whole other show on women's health and the fact that it's still underfunded and there's still not enough research. And the fact that, you know, any issue that comes up with women, there's only just like a few case studies.
Mm-hmm.
And then, especially when we're talking about like Black women and Black women's health, you know, my God, what a hot mess.
I could fill an entire 3 seasons of a podcast on just that topic.
Yeah, it's insane. It's absolutely insane.
It's,
you know,
it's not okay. And so we need more spaces for us. We need more spaces to show our feelings. If we want to cry, no one's going to judge us. Like we need those spaces. And I can have one, you can have one, and then we're going to bring our friends to everybody else's like cookout. Like, let's be real here.
Yeah, we're going to all come together. You know?
I love it. I love this. So as we think about this, as we dream about this, as we're putting this into physical reality right now.
Yes.
How will your marketing strategy adapt to support that brand growth?
You know, That's a really good question, Raylan. It's a very good question. I would definitely do what I didn't do at the beginning, which is bringing experts to help me with that. Because I'm not going to pretend that I know all the things. I will say I do know how it's supposed to look,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't have that skill set in terms of putting together what that new marketing strategy will be for an event or especially at that larger scale. I do not, and I know obviously there's many people who do that. So I think for me is really sort of changing how I am thinking about my brand and my business right now. First, it starts with me first.
Mm-hmm.
What's possible, and also to figuring out what's the end goal. What's the end goal for this that we want? What do we want people to leave this event feeling? What are the takeaways? What's going to keep them coming back, next year, year over year? Um, Honestly, I also think about it too on a global level.
Mm-hmm.
We know that there's, women around the world who don't have the access that we have here in the States. So how can we, encourage them and amplify their voice and give them spaces to shine as well? So I think about that, and you know, that's kind of what I want to do, is make sure that whatever I put out has impact,
Yes.
and can bring other women along, who may be at the start of their journey, or maybe even haven't even had the idea yet, have the thought that they could build their own business or have their own products or whatever the case may be. So I'd have to think that through a bit. But right now, I think the biggest thing for me is, when I'm thinking ahead, it's
Mm-hmm.
really what's the long term impact that I want this too ambitious event to have. That's it for me right now.
I think it is a snowflake hitting into a snowball and it's about to roll down that mountain.
Oh my
Not even
God.
a hill, just a whole mountain.
Oh, yes.
A whole
Yes.
mountain of ambition. It's gonna be great.
Ooh, I like that. I love a mountain of ambition. Hey,
I do too, actually.
you
And
got to coin that one too.
I'm pretty sure back in the day when I coached cheer, all my kids, and honestly, even coaching business owners, they were probably like, we can make a whole book of Raylanisms, like a whole book.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could be a
It's
coffee
true.
table book.
Yeah.
Fine.
That'd be fun, actually.
Food for thought, actually.
Yeah.
Okay,
Why
look at all
not?
these ideas. Like, we're
Yeah.
just in idea machine mode.
Yeah.
I'm here for
Well,
it.
yeah, exactly. Listen, there are a million ways for us to express our creativity, and I think that a lot of times we don't sort of act on any of those things that we can do for a million of reasons, time being the most
Mhm.
biggest one, and then obviously too, the big elephant in the room, money,
Money.
money, money.
It costs
We
money
need
to do
money.
stuff.
It
We live
costs
in a
money.
capitalistic society,
Yeah,
everybody.
money. Yep.
So go get
Yep.
the bag, please, everybody, and actually talk to people. Do
Yes.
nothing else. Do not build your website. Go talk to people, get the bag, and then build your website so you can go make
Yep.
more money. So you can
Yep.
duplicate your efforts. All right.
Yep.
I digress. I could go on that tangent for a million years. So I have two fast questions for you.
Yes.
I ask them of every single person. They're my favorite questions.
Okay.
I'd never sent them to you in advance.
Thanks.
You're welcome. You're going to love them. What does a day of living a luxurious life look like to you?
Mm. I am a type of person who likes to do a lot of different things on any given day. So a day of luxury, depending on the day, if it's the middle of the week, let's say a Thursday or a Wednesday, typically a Wednesday. For me, it's going for a walk, walking to my favorite coffee shop, getting my favorite chai or matcha latte with oat milk, you know, taking pictures. I'm constantly taking pictures, street scenes, and everything like that. I love absorbing a city. I love the sounds. I love to see the people. I love the buildings. I love noticing the murals. I'm in the Bay Area, and there's so much
Wonderful.
culture here. It's so rich, and that feels luxurious to me, you know? But also too, if you say, "Hey, what's a day of luxury look like?" I'm like, "Hey, I'm in LA." I'm hopping down to LA, which is where I pretty much came of age, is in LA. And LA is luxury to me. That is a day of fabulous shopping. I told my friends, like whenever I meet up with my friends, I was like, "Let's go get an overpriced latte," you know, and we go, we get our overpriced latte, and we're wearing our cute outfits. We're, our face beat to the gods, and then we're like, "Oh my God, should we go to the Century City Mall?" Yes, we should, you know? And
I'm there
so just
forever.
a day with the girlfriends, just being fabulous. I love that. I just love that. Just not a care in the world, just looking cute, latte, we should get that.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. I know who to
Mhm.
invite to my next brand shoot because I fly down to LA 4 times a year.
See, there you go. I'm going to LA next week. So, just for I'm popping in just for like a day or anything. But it's so quick being right here in the Bay Area. I'm like it's
Yes.
it's almost like a
It's so fast. I mean, it's
bus.
honestly not that far from Portland. It's a 2-hour flight. Like, I was
Yes.
in for a day and out the same day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's so
I
fun.
totally understand. I felt that dream in my heart. I'm like, "Yep, that's how I feel when I go there. I'm there to take pictures, be pretty, and, like, live a great day." And
Exactly. Exactly. LA is the perfect place for that. The palm trees, the weather, the glamour, you know, all the money in the world is there. And you all you're thinking is like, well, how am I going to get it? Or you're at least going to pretend that you have it.
I have looked up this home on Manhattan Beach that is $10 million every single day. Every single day.
Oh, Manhattan Beach is a beautiful area.
Yes.
Beautiful. Oh my God. Yeah. If people, I have a friend who lives over there, and she's lovely. She's completely down to earth. But I'm like, man, you got money. Because that's a
One of my
nice
best friends
house.
lives over there too.
Yes,
That's
and
why
they
we
can see
took
the
pictures.
ocean. Yeah, they can see the ocean from their yeah, they can see the
Dolphins.
ocean.
It's just so pretty. It's
It's
just
just
so pretty.
beautiful,
And if you've
breathtaking.
never been to Manhattan Beach, y'all, go to my website. You'll see it multiple times over. And if you ever want to feel real rich, yes, I drank a bottle of champagne. I'm pretty sure that was illegal on the beach. It was great. It was great. Everything about
Listen,
that was great.
now that is the Lux life. That is nice.
Oh, it was prime time. It was prime time.
Yeah,
All right.
I
Last one,
see that.
best one.
Mhm.
In one word, what is your primary motivation in business?
Mm, I don't know if I can do it in one word, Raylan, because my first instinct is money.
That's a good word.
Money, you know? I was talking to my friend the other day, and she's like, "We need money. Money." You know? Because there isn't a lot of things you can do without it.
No.
There really isn't. But if I'm being very introspective, and very mindful, I will say family. I would say
Yeah.
my family drives me to make the money so that I can help them, and help myself to help them as well. You
Yes.
know, so again, the roads lead back to money. Mhm.
All right, y'all. You heard it here first. All roads lead back to money, especially in business, because without it, you can't have impact. You can't give your family the life they want to live. And otherwise, you're just not going to realize your dreams. And sometimes we have to be a little realistic about what that looks like, a little pragmatic, if you will. So, Miss Trish, where can they find you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me, Trish Lindo, on LinkedIn. That's the easiest place to find me. You can also find me on my website, trishlindo.com. But I'm always on LinkedIn. You can find me there. I also love fashion and style. You can find me on Instagram, Trish Lindo Style. But um, I believe I'm the no, there is another Trish Lindo. So if you Google me, there is another Trish Lindo. Thank God we look very different. But I've been racing to try and make sure that I stay at the top of the Google feed, and she's like down the bottom. I've never met her. She seems like a nice girl, but yeah, there's two of us, so just a fun fact.
I love that. I mean, I was about to start a whole other conversation, but we've kept them long enough. One day, ping me or Trish and ask about how I feel about Googling yourself and what's possible. Um, so thank you everybody for listening to the Luxe Leap. It has been such a joy to have Trish on this show. She is a powerhouse and a true light. You can't go wrong by working with her and figuring out your LinkedIn. So until next time, we'll see you soon. Bye, y'all.
Bye.